So it hasn't been working for a while. You guys have been trying to do things within the industry. What made you decide to do something about it versus just talk shit?
There's kids in the room.
Talk mess.
They're mine. It's not any words they haven't heard before.
Being broke. Literally. I love filmmaking since I was a kid. I watched movies after movies. I mean, I miss the days where we could go see like Shawshank Redemption and Boomerang and Good Will Hunting. And I've been writing and trying to break into this industry, and just every time, and with all the people we know, I mean, I've worked a lot and I got in some pretty big doors, but every time it was like, well, who's attached? How much money? And it was like, what is going on? Like, we have original content. We can talk about, we can actually have conversations about new talent and new ideas. And so after just the struggle and the struggle with my community, and Patrick could speak on that.
I mean, I'll piggyback on that. And I think just the industry itself has lost its way in terms of who's running the industry. We've seen tech take over. We no longer have executives at these studios that love the art form. I think the tech people, they don't take arts and humanities classes. They just take computer engineering, and they don't understand the product that they're trying to make. And just like last week, I heard they announced, we're making Days of Thunder 2. And I'm like, who asked for that? I was like, outside of the only two people I could think who want Days of Thunder 2 are Tom Cruise and whoever greenlit the film. And the rest of us are like, but still, think of all the thousands of scripts and screenplays and original stories that got passed up for that movie. And that's everything that they're going to be betting on. And these bets aren't sure bets anymore. And I think Joker 2 is a perfect example of that. They're taking big swings with $200 million features, but no one's taking a swing with a $10 million film anymore. Just like, and to your point, Aaron, back in the 90s, I was at the movie theater every Friday night. Yep. And there would be 10 choices if I wanted to see a thriller or a comedy. And I loved going to the movie theaters. I loved being with my friends. And I feel that connection, the fact that we're all here sitting in a movie theater, we feel it. We just love laughing together. Mm-hmm. And that desire to get back into the movie theater. But the thing is, the product that is coming out is not coming out as frequently. And and you're not giving the audience what they want, because the people who are running the industry doesn't know what the audience wants anymore.
Ooh, Patrick is talking the truth. What made you pick up a mic and you're known for your no holds barred, just tell it like it is approach to content? Like, what made you pick up a camera and just start creating content and just telling?
I thought my career was done, man. I still think it is to a degree. I mean, my old career I don't want to say my career is done, but I thought what's interesting about this entire process over the last 2 years, and I started realizing this maybe about by the end of 2023, is that I was actually grieving. And I don't think, and actually somebody in the audience here, Will, I'll shout out to you. He told me we had a great discussion about this, that, you are taught in your life to mourn your family members that you lose, to lose good friends, but no one ever tells you that you could ever mourn your career. And I thought that was a very profound thing to say, because from the earliest age of age 9, and I grew up outside of Orlando. So when I was 9, like Disney MGM Studios opened, Universal Studios, I thought Orlando was going to be the hot mecca. So anybody who wants to talk about Atlanta or Albuquerque, look what happened to Orlando. But at that time, I was so impressed, and I begged my dad at age 10, can I please have a camcorder? Please, anything for the VHS thing. And I had 2 VCRs to edit movies together. And it was something I always wanted to do. And I went to college for it. And you think of like the youth now and the access that they have to technology, I would have given an appendage to have what they have now. But then all of a sudden I'm in it, and I come out to LA and unscripted TV is booming, and I got on the show Amazing Race, and I'm traveling the world and I'm storytelling, and this is the greatest job in the world. And I would talk to other friends. It's like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm in accounting. And I'm like, oh, that's great. How's that going? They're like, it's accounting. And I'm like, okay. I did a rappel down Mandalay Bay. Testing a rope. And it was just amazing. And I had this fun career. And then all of a sudden, just boom, the faucet dried up. And for such a long time, for the first year, I started realizing that I'm going through a depression. And then I'm angry, and then all of a sudden I'm sad. And these are the same stages of grief. And I was actually mourning my lost career, and I was getting desperate, like so many of this people in this room had, and like, please, just anything. And I realized I was begging for scraps of my old job. And I'm like, this isn't the way forward. This is only going backwards. And it was finally, I worked on a project over the summer. I was very lucky. But again, took a 40% dock and pay, took 2 steps back in show title, and I realized that was when I hit my acceptance of, I don't want to do this anymore. And I love what I do, but I don't want to do this. This is not the position to be in. The position should be looking forward to the future. This industry is evolving, and we've been at a point in our careers where we didn't see that evolution, but Hollywood's been evolving for the last century. We've seen silent films go to talking films, to color, and then we've seen radio get completely destroyed by television. And we haven't had any type of shakeup in our industry since cable television. And that was in the early 80s. But since then, everything's been status quo for 40 years. And now there's another shakeup happening. But the good news is, where there's chaos is there's opportunity. Yes. And that is where it's time for the creatives, the people that are the true storytellers, to step up and say, you're right, it's time to take our industry back.
Hey.
Absolutely.
I also think that being in this business, you always hear this one word all the time. No, no, no. No matter if you're a writer, if you're an actor, if you're a director. But I always preach and say, hey, no means next opportunity. We all do this thing where we always want to network up, where we want to get to where everybody else is, but we don't network across. So this is what I'm saying is right here, we come across and say, hey, how can we change what the worst strike ever in the history of the game? People lost their homes. People lost their cars, people were homeless, you know what I'm saying? And it really hit hard. It really hit hard. And so when you can think about how we can bring back the structure, as we always say, what, Hollywood 2.0? Because whether you like it or not, there's a reset button on Hollywood. It's a reset button, but it's gonna be for us as independent artists to take back what's rightfully ours. And that's creating art. So this, when you bring all this together, you bring shares, you bring Indie Night Film Festival, this is what it's all about. It's giving everybody the opportunity to create and show your art.
I love that. Dave, talk to me. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the one thing also, that I loved about, talking about coming together is also we've been in an industry where I feel like we've all been set up to be competitive with one another. Right. That, your failure, it leads to my success. And that's been a mentality, I think, ever since I joined as a PA, is that, I'm waiting for you to trip and fall, and that's where I'm going to jump in. And I think that's also, going back to your original question about that fear of why doesn't anybody speak out? That's the fear, is once I'm out, once I'm ostracized, once I'm blacklisted, the fear of the blacklist, which is in the history of Hollywood, then I'm done. And I don't want to be out of the club. But, the thing is, we're stronger together as a community.
Just create another club.
Create another club.
It's called
You're in
Share.
the club. Yeah.
It's called Share.
It's called Share.